Hello all, Andrea here with I Dream of Crafting. Sorry it's been a few days, but it's been really busy. I've been trying to clean up from one craft fair and get ready for another craft fair, and my computer's been acting up, so it's been really nuts. But I am so glad to be doing another tutorial for you. Today we are going to be doing this awesome candle. I've been doing these for about a year now, about off and on. I love doing them. They are so cool. And so easy, really. It really is very, very easy. I promise you're going to be able to do this on the first try, maybe second try, and you're going to be hooked, I promise. So, this is my most recent candle I did. I was thinking kind of like autism, you know, because they're, the autism symbol is a puzzle piece, but I couldn't find like the actual, you know, autism symbol. I kept finding like all different colors for the puzzle piece. And I'm like, well, that's weird. But then I'm like, well, I'll just do a puzzle candle, you know. And a lot of people get the idea that oh, autism. It's like, yeah. So this is what we're going to be doing today. I will stop rambling. So these supplies you will need are, of course, a candle. This is my 5-inch candles. And this is, of course, my 3. I get these at Pack-A-Tans. They are, I can get a 3-pack of 5 for like $7, $8, something like that. And I can get a 3-pack of the 3-inch candles for like $5, $6, something like that. So it's not too bad. It definitely beats buying them by themselves. You, of course, could do the little votives. Those also come in singles or in a pack, but I've only done votives once, and they are challenging just because of how small they are. But it is possible to do votives. I will find my votive and put it at the end of the video to show you. But you will need a candle. This is unscented. Most of mine, if not all of my candles that I have sold, they are unscented. Because honestly, if you're paying for this, you don't want to really burn it. It's more just, you know, a knick-knack to put somewhere and enjoy. So you will need a candle. You can use any candle you want, even if it's, you know, colored or, you know, scented. You can use any candle you want. I just like these because it's a blank surface, so I can put anything. You will also need tissue paper. This is very important. This is what is actually going to make our candle all pretty. So you will need tissue paper. You can use any tissue paper you want. I wish I had my glitter tissue paper. It's the same. It's just white, just like this, but it has glitter all over it, and I love it. I love using it for like birthday candles because I can print or color in what I want onto the tissue paper, and then when I heat seal it to the candle, you can actually see the glitter. It appears onto the candle. So that is something that you can do, but you can use any tissue paper you want. I'm just going to use this white one today. You also need some scissors. You will also need some tape. Yes, this is my tape dispenser. So you also need some tape. You will also need some permanent markers. You can use Sharpie. I found this one from Bic, and I bought it because it has all these pretty little colors. So I absolutely loved it. But these work wonderfully. You can use these, or you can just use Sharpies. You know, you can use whatever you want. Just make sure it's permanent. You can't use crayon or colored pencils or things like that. It has to be a permanent marker. Don't use washable markers. It won't end well. You will also need, there we go, some wax paper, and you will need some paper. Get a lot of sheets of paper because you will need it. So those are all the supplies we will need, so let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you need to decide is what you want your candle to look like. Anything you want your candle to be, it can be. So the backbone of this is the tissue paper is going to be what we make our candle about. So anything you put on the tissue paper, whether it's the design or a flaw, so try to be very careful when you do your tissue paper. Anything, how the tissue paper looks is how it's going to look on your candle. So you have to be very careful, but also be very creative. So anything you want on the candle. I've made flames on the very bottom. I've done I've done, well, as you can see, I've done from the very top to the very bottom in a pattern. This is very hard to do from the top to the bottom because it's one sheet of tissue paper. And it doesn't like to adhere very well when there's really no gaps in between. So be very careful if you're going to do something like this. For your first couple candles, I suggest just doing small things, like I will be showing you in this video. And then you can try some more advanced techniques. So, but you have to decide what you want. So for this candle, I'm actually going to be doing 2 different ones, since this will be also a display candle for my craft fair coming up in a week. So I have printed out a couple images here. I like to print them out in black and white first, just so I can get my sizing right. So I have a happy birthday up here. I don't know if I'm going to use it, but I wanted to have it anyway. This says happy anniversary. I know it's really hard to see. And then these people, I don't know them. All these images I got off of Google. So for this one, I just typed in happy couple, and there they were. So I'm going to be using this picture in conjunction with this image right here. If I wasn't doing happy birthday on one side and happy anniversary on the other, obviously you only want to use one of those for one candle. Then I would put the happy anniversary on one side, and then I would put their picture on the other side, and maybe like a date or whatever, you know, like a saying or best wishes, something like that. So, but I wanted this to be a display candle. Where people could see a few different options, and I wanted to give you a few different options because there's a few different ways you can make these candles. I showed you the Sharpies, and of course you could do this all by hand, and I have done them all by hand, and they come out beautifully. But you can also do it completely CG. So that's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you both techniques. So the first technique I'm going to show you is just doing it by hand with the Sharpies, and then I'm going to show you the CG. So, print your images. If you are doing CG, though, I'm going to get this out of the way now. If you are doing CG, though, you want to test your images. So print them out on the fastest setting of your printer, and on just draft, so you're not, on draft, fast setting, and grayscale or black and white, so you're not wasting your color ink, because that stuff is expensive. And then size it to what you think you need, and then cut them out. Don't leave too much of an overlap of white space around the image, but you want to cut them out so they look like that. And then you want to take your candle and you want to place them where you think you want them to go, and you want to see how they look. And this is where you're going to size. So if I like how this looks right here. This is pretty good. But if you wanted it bigger, if you wanted it smaller, this is where you're going to test that. So you're gonna put this on. You're gonna see how it looks, and then you're gonna resize it. And just don't resize it and then continue on. Resize it, print out a black and white copy again, cut it out, and see how it looks. So you don't want to print out something, put it on the candle, and find out that you wasted tissue paper, and your ink, of course. So always print out some black and white copies so that you can test it. There we go. I think that's pretty good. I would resize probably the happy anniversary to be smaller, maybe make them both smaller. Who knows, I might do that before I print this out. But this is the first step. You want to make black and white copies of everything you want to do, and see how it looks. Even if you're doing just by hand, just coloring, color it on paper first, and you can even say you want something. You can even size your paper. So let's say you wanted something just that small. Then you would just draw on here and see how it would work on something that small, and then you can go from there. So that is your first step, just figuring out how your candle is going to look. And then we get to the cool part, which is we get to color. So give me a second. I will lower the camera and show you what I mean. Okay, so at this point, I would have, if I was going to, actually make a candle for someone, at this point I would have a piece of paper, and I would have like maybe happy birthday, how I wanted it to look, and and then I would put this tissue paper on top of the image, and then I would just trace. But this one I'm going to be just doing completely freehand. Just because to save on time and stuff like that. So I'm just going to cut a little bit of this tissue paper here. Be very careful, tissue paper is very fragile. So you don't want to you don't want to rip it obviously before you're ready. So I'm just going to use these tiny little strips, and always cut more tissue paper than you're going to need because you're going to have to trim anyway, so you want a bigger piece than your image. So once you have your piece of tissue paper that is either the size you want it or the size to fit your image, we are going to take some tape here. And this is also why you want to make your tissue paper larger than the actual image, because you need room to put your tape. So we're going to put this tape just on the very edge of this tissue paper, and of course you want to flatten this out as much as you possibly can so that your tissue paper isn't bunched up or anything like that. Just be very, very careful, especially if your tape touches the paper before you're ready and then you have to pull it up. So you can probably get away with 2 sides. I just like to do all 4 just so I know that I'm good. And I keep doing that. Oopsies. Okay. And one more. Okay, so now that you have your tissue paper down, you always want to have a, where'd it go? Oh, there it is. You always want to have an extra piece of paper lying around. This is why you need a lot of paper for this, because the Sharpie will go right through this paper and onto anything you are doing. So make sure you have at least one piece of paper underneath the paper you are drawing on. And then grab your Sharpies. Like I said, I have this really cool, all these colors to work with, but when I started out, all I had was black, blue, green, and red. So, but I have all these pretty colors. So, you just go to town now, and you, like I said, be creative. Anything you put on here will be a part of your candle. This is your canvas. This little tiny piece of tissue paper is your canvas. So, go for it. Make it pretty, and I will speed this up so you can see what I'm doing. This will be interesting because I don't even know what I'm doing, so yeah, this will be fun. So like I said, just be creative and make whatever you want. So I just made happy birthday. Obviously, if I was doing this for a customer, they would be like, well, whatever they wanted, happy birthday, Jack or whatever. But so I'm going to just leave this like this. Now I'm going to cut this out, and when you're cutting out, you want to get as close to the image as you possibly can, without, of course, cutting anything off. So, this is going to help you, when you try and put it on the candle. So you don't want a lot of overlap on this. So, you should end up something like that. Get as, this is kind of easy, it's all just one blob, but, something like there it is, something like this, where it has this kind of recessed, you know, here's the Y here and then the A here, I would actually cut all the way up here, and I would get close, and I would get as close as I could into all these nooks and crannies without cutting anything off. So, but yes, that is your image. So you're going to bring it over to your candle, and you're going to place it wherever you think is good, however you want it. And this is where the wax paper comes in. So, you want a piece of wax paper that will completely go over this candle and leave a little bit of excess for you to hold on to. So about that. And you're going to cover this and leave a little bit of extra so you can crumble it and hold it with your hand. But make sure the front of your image is smooth. Because any wrinkle... Let me move this up. There we go. Any wrinkle on your image is going to show up when you apply heat to this. So make sure before you take the heat to it that it is, you know, smooth. So I'm gonna take this off for a second. About the heat gun. Let me put this on. There we go. So this heat gun I got at Packetans as well. You can also get them at hardware stores. Probably Walmart has them as well. But I got this one at Walmart. It is a Darice. D-A-R-I-C-E. So I like it. It works really, really well. As the sticker says, caution. It is very hot. They are not joking. These things get hot. Even hotter than a glue gun, if you are familiar with a glue gun. Now, a glue gun, you have your high heat glue gun and you have your low heat glue gun. These do come in different heat temperatures, but even a high heat glue gun doesn't come close to this. They are very hot. I'm not doing this to scare you. I just want you to understand that no matter how careful you are going to burn your fingers. It's just inevitable. But you're not going to burn them to the point of, you know, but it will get hot. So be very careful. If you are under the age of like 15, 16, you really should have an adult supervision while using this, or even better, just have your adult supervision watch this video and then have them do this step for you. I do not want anyone hurting themselves. So just be very careful if you are going to use one of these. It is not a toy. Just wanted to get that out of the way. But if you do not have one of these and you want to do this craft, as I said, I got mine at Packetans. It was about 15 bucks, which isn't too bad, considering the other ones I was looking at was like 30. So, yeah, they go up pretty high, but those are like your industrial heat guns that will completely vaporize your candle instead of doing what you want it to do. So, yeah, get one of these just from the craft store, and you'll be fine. What was I going to say? Yeah. So now we're going to, of course, plug this in, and it takes about, I don't know, a couple like 10-20 seconds for it to heat up. So, okay, plug that in, and I like this one because it has a little stand that you saw me playing with, because I play with things. So I like the little stand though, because it stands up on my board, and I don't have to worry about it tipping over and catching anything on fire. Also, one last thing, when you are done with your heat gun, do not touch this while it's either on or you have just turned it off. This collar is going to be extremely hot. Always hold it back here, but keep your air intakes clear. You don't want to hold it this way, because then you're going to block your airflow. Just hold it in the middle and then carefully set it down, and then let it completely cool to room temperature. Just leave it sit out for like, 10-20 minutes. I just let mine sit out for like an hour. Yeah, I just set it down and walk away, and then I come back later. I don't even like time it or anything. I just let it sit, let it cool, and then when I come back, I test it, and then I put it away, because by that time it's way past, it's been cool for a while. Excuse me. Oh, that's better. Okay, so, sorry, I'm yammering. So, what I like to do when I first plug it in is I like to just run it to get it hot. Alright, that's hot. Okay, and it will get hotter as you use it, but I like to just get it a little bit hot to begin with. So, we're going to take our candle. We're going to replace our image. Check your candle before you do anything with it. If you see any dust, dirt, hair, anything that is on your candle, especially anything that is going to be under your image, it's going to get caught, and then you're going to get black spots in your image. I have done it. It is horrible. So you rip up your paper, you take up the wax paper expecting to find a beautiful image, and there's a black spot right in the middle of it. It's not fun. So we're going to just place our image where we want it. There we go. And then we're going to take our wax paper, place it on here just as before. There we go. Okay. Remember, you do not want any wrinkles in your wax paper. Try really hard not to get any of them in there. Alright. Like that. Then you're going to take your heat gun. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. You're going to take your heat gun. There we go. Okay. And you're going to apply heat to this. Now you don't want to hold it in one place too long, because then you will burn the image, you will burn the candle. But you do want to hold it there long enough so that it embeds itself into the candle. What you're going to see is, right now, I know it's really hard to see on the image, but if you're following along with me, at this point you can see your cut mark. And you can tell the difference between the tissue paper and the candle. What you're going to see when you start applying heat to this is that you're going to see the tissue paper darken a little bit, and that is from the wax that is melting underneath the image, and your image is going to get a little bit dark. It's going to darken up, so this green is going to get a little darker, the red's going to get a little darker, and your tissue paper is going to pretty much disappear. And I really hope the camera's going to pick this up, because that is really all it takes. That is all you're going to get in the sense of, is it working? So I really hope the camera will pick this up. But you can also just take this off, and I will show you, because it's a way of checking as well. So just grab your heat gun and go to town. Okay, so you don't want to leave the heat gun on too long, because then you will start deforming your image, if you leave the heat on too long, you'll start the Sharpie and even the ink from the computer will start to bleed and run. So you don't want to leave it on too long. And then just hold it for, about 5 seconds or so to let it cool a bit. And then gently peel off your wax paper. Do not worry about any of the residue on the wax paper. That is completely fine. It's perfect. Now you just want to run your hand gently across the candle to make sure all the wax paper has been adhered. Now, because this side was closest to my fingers, I didn't get this as well as I should have. No problem at all. I'm just going to take my wax paper. You don't want to use your wax paper more than twice, and you especially don't want to use anything that has your ink on it. So to avoid the ink, I'm just going to place it down like that on the table, and I'm just going to hold it like this because it's only this corner. Okay. Okay. So yeah, just run your hand along, along the edge to make sure all that tissue paper is melted into the candle. Does not take long. Here we go. Alright, so it should be smooth. You'll be able to feel if the tissue paper isn't adhered. And there you go. There we go. That is how it would look if you did a hand-drawn image. So now I'm going to show you how to do a CG image. Okay. So to do your CG image, you will need a full sheet of printer paper, plain, just grab it out of your tray, and you will need a piece of tissue paper. So the first step is, of course, after you have your images sized to how you want it, and I just size my images in Word. So I'm going to cut this tissue paper to fit this entire sheet of paper. Well, that's what I would do if I have a lot of images. Since I only have 2, I am going to center these images so that they are print out in the center of the paper. I just like to do the whole paper just to give myself some room to maneuver a bit. So leave about 1/4 to 1/2 inch on both the top, bottom, and both sides, so that you have some place to adhere the tape to. Okay. So I'm going to cut off the sides a bit. Okay. Now, this is where it can get a little tricky. So we're going to take tape. I'm going to use this. We are going to adhere this piece of tissue paper to this entire piece of printer paper. So do that right now. So just make sure your tissue paper can fit your image or images, and then very carefully tape it to the paper. What's very important about this is that you get this as flat as you possibly can, for 2 reasons. A, any wrinkle in the tissue paper that is not flattened out will show up on your image, and it will screw up your image. 2, this piece of tissue paper lined printer paper is going to be going through your printer. So you don't want any edges sticking up so that it can get caught in the printer. And then it'll screw up the paper and possibly screw up your printer. But I have not had any problems with that. It actually goes through the printer very well because tissue paper is very, very thin, so it doesn't really get caught. I used an older printer when I first started doing these candles, and now we have a newer printer, and it works beautifully on both. So if you have an older printer and you're worried about your old printer screwing up, it's a possibility. Just give it a test drive. Because that's really the only way you're gonna know is to test it out. But I have not heard of anyone having a problem with this technique. But this is completely optional. You do not have to do this. You can just do your candle by hand, with the Sharpies. So this is completely optional. But once you have it down, you're not gonna get it perfectly. It is gonna be up a little bit, but the printer will hold it down the rest of the way for you. You just want to make it as smooth as possible. So, now that you have this done, put it in your printer so that when it prints out, it will print out onto the tissue paper. And also make sure your settings are correct. So make sure you put it either on normal or best, however you want. Make sure it's in color if you want it in color. And make sure it's sized correctly. And make sure that the images are in such a way on the paper that it will hit the tissue paper. If you're not sure, print out a black and white image just onto regular paper, and then when your images are when your images are printed on the paper, put it on top of your tissue paper just to make sure, because my tissue paper is like this. My tissue paper is taking up pretty much the whole center. So if I center my images, I will be good. They will come out the way I want them to. So I'm going to print this. I'm going to put this in my printer, print it out, and I will be back to show you how to attach it to the candle. Okay, so here is what it will look like when it comes out of the printer. So just as before, you want to carefully cut these out. So I have a little black spot up here, which I don't know what that is. So, that's weird. I don't know what that is. It looks like maybe the black ink bled through. So what I'm going to just do is to take that off. I'm just going to like round the corners. But of course I just can't round one corner because that would look kind of weird. So I'm just going to round all these off. And then just cut really close to the picture without actually cutting it. There we go. Tissue paper likes to stick to everything. And then we're going to do the same thing with this one. We're just going to cut as close as possible, but without cutting the image itself. So the closer you cut it, the less work you will have to do. Because that's less tissue paper, you're going to have to make sure that it adheres to the candle. So, Alright, so there are our two images. So you're gonna need another piece of wax paper. Who knows, maybe 2 pieces. Alright, so we're gonna work one image at a time. So I'm going to be working on this one first. So if you have something on this side, like I said, if I was going to just dedicate this candle completely to the anniversary, I would put their image on one side. And I would probably use a 3-inch candle for this one, but I would put their image on one side, and then directly across on the other side I would put happy anniversary or whatever they wanted on the other side of it. But when you do that, you want to make sure that you have it directly across. So what I like to do is I put the image on one side already, and then I put my fingers on both sides of the image that's already there, and then I flip it so that I know that these are where my ends are, and then I place my image where so it will be centered but be across from the other image on the other side. So that just takes a little bit, to get used to, and you're gonna have to figure out how it works for you. This one's a little bit interesting because I have to fit 2 on this side. So what's important about this is you want to make sure that the ink side is facing towards you. If it's facing down like this, it could bleed into the candle. So you want to make sure the ink side is up. It's not too bad when you have an actual saying because it'll be facing you already. If you flip it around, then it would be backwards. But pictures like this, you want to make sure you have the right side facing up, which is the ink side. Alright. And we're going to just do this again. So let me put this up a little bit. Alright, so once again, just make sure it's smooth and be very careful. Okay, so I hope you saw the change. This worked a little bit better because you could actually see the background darken. So I really hope you could see that. That is what you're looking for. When you see that darken, that pretty much means you're done. So I always run my hand or my finger across the edge though, just to make sure it's completely sealed and I don't feel anything up. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our second piece here and I'm going to put it up here, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. Like I said, don't use your wax paper more than a couple times because it will screw up any image that you're trying to do. Alright, then we just do this one more time. Alright. Now, of course, you don't have to do these big images like this. When I did my snowflake candle, those are all individual pieces that I just stuck on and put and heat blasted one at a time. This is up a bit up here, so I'm going to do that again. The edges are really hard to get. They don't always want to. The middle part always seems to go really easy, but the edges don't always want to stay down the first time. There we go. Alright. And there you go. Alright, that is the end of our tutorial. Here is what we made. Our happy anniversary candle. Come on, focus. I'm sorry, I don't know why it's not focusing. I need a new camera. And then happy birthday on the other side. Like I said, you don't have to do the big images like I did. You can do individual ones. All these snowflakes are individual. These are all made, I did them by hand with a fine point blue Sharpie. The actual blue one I told you about before I got all my colors over there. I just cut out a whole little bit. I actually printed out these different snowflake shapes, and I did them on tissue paper and then cut them out individually, and yeah, I just heat sealed them in one by one. So I don't have it. It was an order, so I sent it to her obviously, but I did a candle for a lady for her son who is a firefighter, and I did a strip of fire, one piece of tissue paper that was fire all along the edge, and then I had then I cut out little tiny fire flames and went up the side of the candle on either side of her image, and those were all individual. So quite honestly, anything you want to do with this candle, you can do. If it's on tissue paper, it's going to go on your candle. That's how it comes down to it. If you wanted to, you could even, like I have these snowflakes on here now. Even though this is all tissue paper, I could put more tissue paper on top of this and heat seal it again. You don't want to do that too much because you run the risk of screwing up the the images underneath. But if you do it just one layer on top, you'll be fine. And here is the votive candle I told you about. Has a little all these little Chinese, your Chinese symbols, the kanji, and then these are sakura. All of these are sakura flowers, and this is also hand painted, or I'm sorry, hand drawn. And yeah, I just wanted to do a scented candle and a votive candle, this is both. I love it. So this is very hard to do though. I do not like doing the small ones, but it is cute. So, if you have any questions, comments, or requests, please leave them in the comment section below. If you like this tutorial, if it helped you out, please give it a big thumbs up. If you do make one of the candles, a candle of your own, please send them to me either on Instagram, Facebook, or leave me a video message. I would love to see and hear from you. And yeah, subscribe for more videos, and I hope to see you in the next video.